What's up, Interweb? I'm going to go over the things that we went over. This is from our class meeting Monday, 8:30. Now I'm going to go over this really pretty fast because, of course, you know better than I do that you can stop and start this however you want. But, excuse me, first of all, we're going to use some of the vocabulary that we're going to be using throughout every class that you take in math. What is a term? A term is, for instance, 9. Let's see if we can do this a little better where my Please tell me if you can't read this or my voice isn't coming through well. Just any number. 9 is a term. X, A, B, C, D, whatever. Any variable. The letters are the variables. That's a term. 5xyz, that is a term. An expression, an expression is like 3x plus 2. Now why is this an expression? Because it has two terms. 3x is a term and 2 is a term. If it's separated by a plus or a minus, then it is an expression. Now, as far as terms go, it really doesn't make any difference how big this is. If it's all one number, which is what we have here, 5x squared y cubed z to the fifth, this is a term. Even if there's a negative at the beginning, it's not separated by, like this one is, two terms separated by a plus or a minus. And again, we're going to use this. We're going to use these excuse me, these vocabulary words throughout the year. Now, order of operation, probably the most used, or the order of operations. This is probably one of the most used things we do in mathematics. It's order of operation. In other words, which one do we do first? Order of operation is PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. This is parentheses. Okay, if you've got parentheses, you're going to do this first. Then an exponent. Do that second, if there is one. You got a number with another little number up there, and we'll talk more about this here in a minute. Exponent. Now, MD, multiplication division, you do those, whichever one comes first from left to right. Now, multiplication and division are like twins. You do those at the same time, again, from left to right. Multiplication, division, left to right, whichever one comes first. And then addition, subtraction, and you do those from left to right also. This, it really doesn't make any difference because they're going to get done. You do those last, and like that. So if we have 3 plus 4, before I forget, never use x for multiplication anymore. Either use a raised dot, which is 3 plus 4, times 5. Either use the asterisk or a raised dot, times 5. Now, which one do we do first? Here we have addition. There's multiplication. Now, we don't have any parentheses. We don't have an exponent, but we do have multiplication. So we're going to do that first. So it's 3 plus 4 times 5 is 20. So this is 23. Okay, everybody got the idea here? It's very, very simple, but very, very important. If you have a calculator, either one of these or a smaller one like this will do order of operation for you. Unless, of course, you have a variable. Now, again, the variables are letters, A, B, C, D, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, now what if we have this? 2 plus 5 squared. Okay, we have addition and we have an exponent. We're going to do the exponent first. 2 plus 25. We'll talk more about the exponents here in a minute. And that's 27. Okay, now the rules for multiplication and division. Also very, very important. If you have a positive number times or divided by, okay, the rules for multiplication and division are the same. If you have a positive number multiplied by a positive number, of course, the answer is positive. Now, if you have a negative times a negative or divided by, remember the rules are the same, multiplication and division, the answer is also positive. In other words, if the signs are the same and you're multiplying or dividing, the answer is going to be positive. Now, if one of the numbers is negative and the other one's positive, the answer will be negative. Multiply or divide. Okay, very important. Now, solving equations. You're going to be doing this This is also very, very important. Solving equations. Okay, so what if we have this? If we have a plus 3 equals 10. Well, obviously the answer is 7, right? But we need to use a procedure here. How do you do this? Do it, because these problems, they really don't get any more difficult. They just get longer. We want a over here on this side and 7 over there. Now, what do we want to get rid of here? We want to get rid of the 3. Now, when we're solving equations, you do PEMDAS backwards. First, we get rid of addition, subtraction, then multiplication, division, then the exponent, then the parentheses. So we're going to do this first. When you're solving equations, get rid of addition, subtraction first. Now, we want to get rid of the 3. How do we do that? You do just the opposite of whatever it says. So this says plus 3, so we're going to subtract 3. Now, it's an equation. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do exactly the same thing to the other side. And for right now, please do these problems like this, although I hope your penmanship's a little better than mine. So 3 minus 3 is 0. It's gone. It's eliminated. We moved it to the other side. And 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay? And what if we have this? B minus 6 equals 4. Now again, we have a plus or minus here. We do that first. How do we get rid of a negative 6? Plus 6. Do the opposite of whatever it says. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. That's gone. So B over here is 10. And of course, you can plug it back in. B and 10 are interchangeable. So 10 minus 6 is 4, so we are correct. Okay, and if we have this, if we have negative 3 plus c equals 10, we want c over here by itself. So we want to get rid of the negative 3. How do we do it? Just the opposite of whatever it says. So we're going to add 3 to each side. C is 13. Okay, now even if you had the variable, if it's on the other side, 12 equals d plus 3. Okay, we want to solve for d. Now, we like to have the variables over on the left, but get used to doing it like this. We're going to subtract 3 from each side. D is, what is it, 9? Okay. Now, that's addition and subtraction. What about multiplication division? Same thing. So if we have 5e equals 20. When there's no plus or minus in here, when it's just right next to the variable, that means to multiply. We don't write it because we're lazy. So how do we undo multiplication? Division. Remember, the fraction bar means divided by. We're going to divide by 5. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. 1e, or just e. And 20 divided by 5. If you're going to put this in the calculator, do it from top to bottom. Fraction bar means divided by. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay? And what is negative 3f equals 12. Now we want to divide by, we want this to be a positive f, not a negative f. And remember the rules that we talked about for multiplication division. We want to divide by negative 3. And negative divided by a negative is a positive. Divide by negative 3. So that's gone. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a positive 1. F, or just f, equals. Now we have a positive divided by a negative. It's a negative 4. Negative 5EFG equals 30. Again, we're going to divide by negative 5 because we want to know what positive g is, not negative. Divided by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is positive 1. So g and positive divided by negative is a negative, what is that, 6? Something like that. Okay? Now, what if we have multiplication and addition or subtraction? What if we have h 4h plus 2 equals 22. Now again, we're going to get rid of the addition subtraction first, then the multiplication division. So we're going to subtract 2 from each side. We're going to get rid of addition subtraction first. We get 4h equals 20. Okay, now we have multiplication here, so we're going to divide everything by 4. H is 5. Right? Right. H-I-J-K-L 5L minus 4 equals 16. Okay, we have multiplication here and addition here, so we're going to get rid of the addition. I'm sorry, subtraction. I'm going to get rid of that first. Add 4, 5L equals 20. Divide everything by 5. L is 4. Can this be any more fun? Let's try. Oh boy, I almost spilled my Diet Coke. Negative J equals 8. Now, how are we going to get rid of this negative? We're going to divide or multiply, doesn't make any difference, by negative 1. But because, again, we want just J over here by itself. Divide everything by negative 1, and we get J equals negative 8. If negative G equals 8, G, J, I'm working on my letters now. If negative J is 8, then J is negative 8. And that's that's the procedure that you use. You multiply or divide by negative 1. Right? Right. Let's do another one. 3k plus 2 equals 17. Again, we get rid of the addition subtraction first, so we're going to, it's a plus. So we're going to subtract 2 from each side, do the opposite of whatever it says, and we end up with 3k equals 15. Divide everything by 3. K is 5. Right? Right. Okay, now what if we have variables on both sides of the equation? What if we have this? 8p that's better. 8p plus 3 equals 6p plus 13. Now what we want to do is we want to move the variables first. You really don't have to do this, but it's going to make it easier if you do. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some horrible negative numbers. Now think about these. We want to move the variables first. Think about these like a load of bricks. Which one would you rather carry, 6 or 8? Let's carry the smallest number. So subtract 6p. Remember, any number minus itself is 0. 8p minus 6p is, remember this is not division. I was just underlining. 2p plus 3 equals 13. Now we're going to subtract 3 from each side. 2p equals 10. Divide everything by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1p, or just p, equals 5. Everybody got the idea there? I hope so. Absolute value. This is the last one. Absolute value. Absolute value is always positive. Now you're going to see this from time to time. Positive is greater than 0. You're going to see this occasionally. Okay, absolute value we write like this. Absolute value of 5. Now, what absolute value means is, whoops, absolute value means how far is it from 0 on the number line. Now, how far is distance? Can distance be a negative number? No. That's why it's always positive. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 5, how far is it from 0 on the number line? 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 5. How far is this? 5. Okay, always positive. Um, there's always an exception, it seems like. How about the absolute value of 0 is 0? That one's neither positive nor negative, but that's what's happening there. Now, what if we have this? The absolute value of A is 3. What could A be? A be. What's the value of A? Could be 3. The absolute value of 3 is 3. And also the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. So if the absolute value of A is 3, then A could be plus or minus 3. Doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, does it? Okay, last thing. What if you have the absolute value of B is negative 7? This is undefined because it's wrong. The absolute value of B, or the absolute value of anything, cannot be a negative number. It's undefined because it cannot be. Cannot be B. Right? Right. Okay, y'all take care. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. Bye, bonds.